High in the misty mountains of ancient China, a young monk named Li Wei dreamed of enlightenment. "If I meditate for 10,000 hours," he vowed, "surely I'll attain wisdom." But his master, an old sage with eyes like still ponds, had a different lesson in mind. One morning, Li Wei approached the master. "How many years until I find enlightenment?" he asked. The master sipped his tea and replied, 10 years. Li Wei's heart sank. Desperate, Li Wei demanded, "What if I meditate day and night without rest? What if I give up sleep, food, and joy?" The master paused, then whispered, 20 years. Confused, Li Wei pressed, "But why longer?" The master smiled. Two eyes on the goal leave none for the path. Days later, a fierce storm struck the mountain. Li Wei, determined to prove his resolve, climbed the peak to meditate in the rain. Lightning cracked, and he slipped, tumbling down a slope. Bruised and drenched, he shouted at the skies, "Why do you mock me?" The master found him at dawn, shivering but defiant. Without a word, he handed Li Wei a cup of tea. "Drink," he said. "The storm cannot be rushed, only endured." Li Wei sipped slowly, tasting the bitterness and warmth. Years passed. Li Wei stopped counting hours. He noticed the dew on spiderwebs, the scent of pine, and the way sunlight danced on stone. He befriended a wounded crane, nursed it back to health, and laughed when it stole his rice cakes. Enlightenment, he realized, was not a trophy to seize. One autumn, a traveler arrived at the monastery seeking wisdom. "Master," the stranger panted, "how do I find peace?" Li Wei smiled. "Walk with me," he said, leading him to a bamboo grove. "Listen." Decades later, while sweeping the temple steps, Li Wei paused. A single maple leaf landed on his broom. In that moment, he laughed. Not at the leaf, but at the absurdity of ever thinking enlightenment was a moment. It was the sweep of the broom, the breath in his lungs, the now. Li Wei became a master, teaching others, "Seek not the peak, for the path itself is the answer." And when children asked, "But how do we walk the path?" he'd hand them a seed. "Plant it," he'd say, "then wait.